What you described is the ick. Like the ick is like, I'm so done with this man. I'm so unattracted to this man because he did not make me feel comfortable. He did not make me feel welcome. He asked me out on a date for me to pay for myself, pay my own way, did nothing for me to make me feel like he was going to
Wasn't even listening.
Not even good conversation? Come on now. Like, you did nothing for this woman, but you think that she's going to be into you. You think she's going to go out with you again. You think that she's going to even give you the time of day. Like, I don't care what kind of woman you are, if you're 50-50, if you're independent, if you're you want him to provide whatever. Women do not think that that's cute. They don't like being harassed. They don't like being forced upon a kiss, especially when you did nothing in the date to make her feel comfortable with you, to make her feel welcomed. Like, you did nothing. So why do you feel like you are owed something? Like, turning her head? Huh?
And I've come a long way since that experience where I've learned to say, hey, you know what? I'm really not feeling this. We're about an hour in. I don't want to waste your time. So I'm going to Uber home. I'm going to leave. And I've had to do that because I'm in fear that something like that is going to happen.
Good for you.
Yeah. And but it doesn't always turn out that way. Like, sometimes I think that I'm enjoying myself and I'm enjoying this experience, but there is still that physical pressure later.
Yeah.
And when you're caught in that moment of like, you've been vulnerable, you've let somebody in just a little bit, it's date one, I'm not going crazy, but you know, and you feel safe with somebody, and then suddenly like that, the physical boundary is crossed without permission or without obvious permission, and then forced upon you with your head turned. And like I said, that's happened a few times. Like, it feels like sort of a deer in headlights moment. And then a woman is then blamed for like, well, she didn't say anything. She didn't say no. Like, that's something that really bothers me living in this world where saying the word no is so required. But did men ever think that saying the word no and not being listened to, but then puts us in that position of being a victim, where it could be so much worse if, you know, survival is really just enduring. Women have had to endure for ever. Like, we've learned to endure, which is unfortunate. And I hope that like younger women grow up in this world and realize like we can use our voice. Like, that's what I want to, like, that's the message I would like to get across. Like, use your voice, be strong, protect yourself. But it's scary. Yeah. Because if you say no and the guy's more powerful than you, what are you going to do?
That is like a super important thing to talk about. And thank you for being vulnerable enough to share your story, to say that, Chloe, because I know there's so many followers and women listening to this right now and saying, I totally have been in that situation before. I totally know what that feels like. It's scary. And like, what do you do? Like, I have, you know, my content is a lot about how to date high value men, how to raise your standards in dating and all of these things. And a lot of the comments that I'm coming across are women who are saying, like, I'm afraid to go out on a date. Like, I need to bring my taser, my spray, and all of this.
I got it all.
Because the anxiety of because of the experiences that we have been in as women in this world. Like, I don't care what kind of woman you are, you've been harassed. Like, walking down the street, guys calling out the car window, like, literally everywhere you go. I mean, I will say I do get a lot of free stuff being a woman, so that's a perk. But I just mean, like, it's just so, I understand. Like,
that's the least they can do, though. It's the least they can do is give us a perk. Like, Literally. I'm sorry, but like, we have to endure so much more than men will ever have to endure. Like,
amen,
we have to deal with periods. We have to deal with childbirth, like if we want to have kids.
Amen.
We have to deal with menopause. We have to deal with like sexual harassment if we open the door. If we have to deal with sexual harassment if we're wearing a full-on hazmat suit. If a guy can tell that there are boobs under there, he will harass.
Literally. And like, it's so funny because I remember this one time I went on a date with this guy, and like, it was like half a mile from the house. It was in Brooklyn. I met him at the date. I walked over there. It was like during like the daytime, but we left late at night. And I said, hey, do you mind just walking me back to my apartment before you Uber back to yours? And he's like, oh, you're fine. Like, you're not in danger. Like, you're okay. You can walk back in the dark by yourself. And I'm just like, I'm only a few blocks away. Like, I would really appreciate it if you just walk me back, because I am a little bit nervous walking home alone in the dark. And you know what I mean? And so he got like such an attitude about it. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, you'll be fine. You can walk back on your own. And I'm just like, you're a man. You have a penis. That's why you think that. And you think that everything is just so safe because you've literally haven't been harassed like me. Like, you have not been harassed. Like, there are certain places in New York City that I refuse to go, like that I refuse to take the subway with if I'm wearing a skirt or a dress, because
that's a thing. That's a thing.
Literally,
you think about your wardrobe and you're like, okay, I got to protect myself, and then you hear those assholes that are like, well, it's because she wore a skirt that he like. No,
I mean, it's sick.
Yeah. We have to be extra careful, though. It's like,
Right.
oh, God. It's like, why are we blamed for
Right.
poor behavior of men? And for him to never consider, like, why you might be uncomfortable walking even a few blocks alone. And, like, what?
I know.
I can't even fathom being that comfortable. What is that?
And that was, I guess that was a sign that he wasn't for me. Because
No.
I'm like, if you're not even worried about my safety getting home, you're probably not boyfriend, husband, life partner material.
Who is raising these men? Like, who is doing this?
Literally, Chloe.
This is bad.
I know. We got to change this. So
We do.
diverting the conversation, because we talked about shitty men and like how like we've been traumatized by being single women and by dating. Chloe, can you tell me some qualities that you look for in a man that you want to be your life partner, your husband, all of that you want to do life with?
Qualities. Well, number one on my list these days is somebody who can not only respect my boundaries, but who can set his own boundaries. I have dated a lot of men. That sounds really bad. No, my point is the men that I have dated, the majority of them have told me they love me within like a week of knowing them. A lot of love bombing, a lot of like, you're the most amazing person I ever met, a lot of like really intense, yeah. And so for me, and it's happened so much that it makes me very nervous of like, am I just an idea to people or am I a real person? And having a person in your life who will take the time to get to know you and become your friend and listen to you and be a shoulder for you and actually want to your shoulder too, like, and you know, take their time and go slow, like that to me is everything. So boundary setting, boundary respecting, that's number one for me. I think a man with a great sense of empathy is important to me. I struggle with dating men because, you know, there's an inherent privilege that they always feel just being a man, like the man that you were with who thought that walking was not a big deal at night in Brooklyn. What a genius. This is what we're dealing with. And so empathy is super important. Like I want them to like consider what my life is like as a woman and respect me and think about me walking alone at night and, you know, think about what I've got going throughout the day, you know. For sure. Think about the fact that like if you say I love you within a week, how that's going to affect me, you know. For sure. It's important. And so yes, empathy, boundaries, someone who can take care of themselves, who doesn't need me to take care of them, who's emotionally strong. Please be funny or get out. Like, make me laugh, like please. Someone kind. Arrogance is like my least favorite quality. Like that's my biggest turnoff. Okay. Yeah, and I love when a man has no idea that he's hot. That's
yes, Chloe for the win.
Huge points. Yes. Yeah. Like you don't have to like impress me with like fucking being flawless from head to toe. Like be a little.
Okay, can I bring this up? Because if it's meant to be, then it'll be a love song.